and I've seemed to have gotten this out of order. Yep, okay, so here's the Taquaro, another community there, which was, oh, okay, you can't see it on the map. It was a community that was a famous area in during the period of the Revolution, and so yeah, I'm really sorry you can't see these documents. These all relate to the research there. I want to talk a little bit about Darwin Casad. I didn't put all of this in the book, but I wasn't able to get permission to reproduce the images that I'm going to show you next, but I was able to get it now. Darwin Casad, this is his intake record at the state penitentiary in 1922. He was tried for murder. He had a little conflict over whose alfalfa should be harvested in what order. And I guess he got into a confrontation. He had a gun, the other guy had a pitchfork, I believe. So he was tried for murder. He did kill the fellow who was a Mexican American. So he was sent off to the state pen. He was not convicted for murder, though. He was convicted on a lesser charge. One of the interesting things, it shows his body, right, and what his body looked like as he was goes through the intake procedures into the state pen. And I think part of this was that they wanted to be able to, if something happened to you, we were in the penitentiary, they wanted to be able to establish that it didn't happen to you while you were there. Another family member was involved with the prosecution of this. But at any rate, one of the things that it talks about is that his toes were mangled, and he had various different things that you would associate with farming injuries. And it was interesting too that you had to state whether you were a consumer of alcohol and tobacco, and he said no. Don't think that was true. Now, this, I'm sorry I misplaced that picture, but this is one of the things about, yeah, here we have him again. So this little image here, which you really can't see again, it says Humboldt Casad was paid a $150 prize for raising the first bale of cotton in Doñana County. The bale weighed 570 pounds. Okay? This is, as far as we know, there's a little bit of conflicting information because we have another image in the archives of someone else. We're not absolutely certain. We think it's Humboldt, but this is supposedly the very first bale of cotton. And so this tradition of agricultural innovation is continuing in the family in this next generation. How many of you knew that you were in the oil business? This is a reference to Humboldt Casad's Mesa oil well. He was in business with a couple of partners. This was when they thought that Alamogordo was going to be a place where lots of oil was going to be found. So there were a lot of shares that were sold, and a lot of people didn't really turn out to be the oil field that they thought it would. But again, I think it points to being involved in lots of different activities, giving everything a try. I told you that I had written up Tom Casad's agricultural columns, and he was very interested in that sort of thing. I was interested to find that Humboldt did pretty much the same thing. He wrote when he held the position of assistant in agriculture, which was a title that they had here for people often with, say, an undergraduate degree that were involved with research activities. He wrote a regular column about agricultural innovation and trends and various different things, and these were published in the El Paso paper because there begins to be an awful lot of association with Texas and El Paso, sometimes more so. And the first one is irrigating by the can system. Okay. And when you read this, it's quite fascinating. This is from the 1890s, and what it's really doing is describing a very primitive drip irrigation where the water is fed into a tin can and then slowly drips into the field, and it talks about how much more efficient it is, which is really fascinating because we've lived with these open acequias for a long time, and now there's a lot of experimentation that's going on with drip agriculture, drip irrigation. And so here in the 1890s is Humboldt writing about again a very simplified way to do that kind of thing. And the other, and I just picked these couple. I'm going to gather all these together too in case they're of interest to somebody. It's the caution necessary. This is called irrigating with muddy water. And so he goes into all of the possible dangers of just putting, so he's talking about a period of time when there's been a lot of rain and there's abundant water. And so just a cautionary tale about what that can do. And again, so this is a second generation of that kind of innovation. And one of the things as his career goes on that he's most noted for, and all over the southern part of the state, east and west, it often has to do with water. And so quite a reputation for knowledge about water. Those are my most recent findings, and I want to talk for a minute. Obviously, this is it's a great thrill for me to be involved in this, to see all of you come. In the book, I mean, not to say that everybody hadn't already thought of it, but I mentioned in the book that I hope that in 2016 that you would gather again. So that we're now talking 2 centuries, right, since Thomas Casad was born. I've spent a lot of time doing research on him. I still do. As a matter of fact, just a few months ago I gave a lecture about some of the new research that I've done. So it's something that's still of great interest to me. In 100 years, most of the people, or maybe almost all the people in this room won't be here, right? But the record that you have started to build that is here will be here, and I would encourage you to add to it. One of the things that I noticed when I started to come today was I saw all these young people, and I thought, wow, what a wonderful thing, because as you now know, you probably did know, but maybe you have a little better understanding, the patriarch that started this family was very much a human being, right? With all the strengths and weaknesses that any human being has, but it's a remarkable story now being told through 7 generations. As a Spanish colonial historian, I often work in records that are 300, 400, 500 years old. You're now 200 years into a family history, and when you celebrate the next 100th, the 300th anniversary, it will be possible largely because of the vision that you folks have had to donate the records here to the university. So I thank you for, and many of you have, I really do feel like a member of this family. Many of you have shared stories with me that probably I shouldn't know. We're among family now, so I can say some of these things. The book is out there for the whole world, and I didn't necessarily say everything that I knew. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with your family, and I hope that I can continue that relationship forward. So thank you very much.